Hey, happy Thursday, traders. It's March 27th, about 5 in the morning. Let's get ourselves ready to go. Yes, Mini. How'd you guys do yesterday? Did you get bagged or did you bag some trades? I have a really bad tendency sometimes to just get long. Don't you feel like that? Like your bias is just gets in your way? And that's one of the reasons why we do all this mapping and charting and, play with it like it's clay because it's just a moving, it's so easy to get twisted up in all the different things that come into play. I'm going to sneeze. So I have to really work hard at getting myself centered and getting myself squared so that I'm not shooting from the hip. And I still get it wrong. Still get it wrong. Yesterday, I didn't get it wrong, didn't get it right, break even. But it's one of those things where we have to really center ourselves about what it is we're trying to do so that when we do execute a trade, we're not on pins and needles trying to deal with our feelings and our emotions while we're trying to make money, right? Like nobody wants to be bound up, trying to get it all right so we can, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I know that my biggest challenge is oftentimes uh, dealing with my emotions, my bias. My emotions, not so much. I've shipwrecked my emotions almost out of my business so that it's like, okay, didn't get it. Okay, great, got it. Like it doesn't impact. I don't trade at a size that's going to bankrupt me or make me rich in a day. I've tried doing that. It doesn't work. I mean, when you win money or you earn money, I should say, off winning trades, it's like, it feels good. It's that dopamine hit, you know. So anyhow, yesterday I was sizing up a trade out of all this stuff here. I was working on, um, we had a low, right, from over there, and price was bouncing in here on this, all this business right here, right? Because just for you, that maybe you're like, here's here's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for this impulse. We're looking for this kind of like this is how price travels over time in a swing, right? It's this form, right? And this is what we're trying to get at in all of our iterations of this thing, right? We're trying to see this in a way that is giving us an edge over the market because we don't have an edge. The only edge you have is the ability to reprice. And so we're looking for this shape. And in this shape, you want to be able to see the impulse up. You want to be able to see a shelf being built, and you want to see an impulse taking off. So you're now in a different place now because you can see, right, how the price impulse down, and then it created a shelf, and then it continued on, right, in the basic form. In the basic form, this is just the most basic way to see, how price moves. And so by doing this, we end up in a spot where we're able to identify the pieces of this puzzle. And I call it it's I'm looking for 3-to-1 trades. I don't have a name for it. I just it's 5 steps, right? And we have the impulse leg, the shelf, right? There's sellers, and there's sellers here too, but they got popped. This wash, you get a hard up and a hard down. The price took them up really hard, took them down really fast, and then it retests the low, and then it pulls back into here, and then drops them off. So it gives us the ability to get a 3-to-1 trade because one, our winning percentage is not above 50%. I don't think most people's are. I know people that have an 80 to 90% win rate. They're scalpers, and their strategy is entirely different. And their strategy requires them to be at about 80 to 90%, and they're good at it. Uh, you know, that's how they figured out how to run the business. For me, somebody showed me this, and I've just worked on it for years to understand this on a level that just is simplistic, but keeps me out of trouble, right? So I'm not selling, I'm not going to, sell in here for lower lows. I see that price is going to bounce and run into things. So this setup keeps me on the right side. And really what I want to find is, where can I put my stop? Like, where is it that I've got to, if I put a stop in here, I'm not going to get, wiped out. And so it's just a simple way to keep us on the right side of the market. This is the 2000 chart, tick chart. I use this as a, as kind of a guide in a way to say, okay, here's where we're at. I want to know where I'm at, because this is where I like to trade. I like to trade with this much data, right? It's easier to see everything. It's clean, right? I can see the expansion in all its forms, so by understanding this, I can take it to the next trade, right? And this is kind of different. We could play it out. We could play it out like this, even just it's the same shape. And so that gives me the ability to hone in on what it is I'm trying to, how am I going what am I after? How am I going to get it? Right? That's basically it. We got to jump over to yesterday, right? I did make a trade. Let's see where I'm at here. So hold on a second. Let me just get this geared up. I have too much stuff going on. So I'm in here yesterday, right? At the top of this piece here, right? And again, like, back to the bias conversation, like, just, it's going up, right? And, I know this may sound silly to some people, but, and I fell prey to it. I fell victim to it. I don't know what the right word is. I fell into the trap. It's 5 in the morning, guys. I'm tired. Getting my coffee going and getting myself ready for the day. But here's my problem with my trades. I'm long in here, and I'm leaning on these guys. I'm leaning on, like, these guys as my stop. And so I shouldn't be surprised that the price is going to fall back into this pressure cooker, right? This is how swings are tied into each other, right? This swing here, right, and this swing here, or you could say this swing here and this swing here, and then it it's going to pull back into the swing. that's going to come into play a little later. So, I'm following my setup, but I'm not following my setup, right? I'm not like paying attention to where I'm at in the whole thing. Like, I know this is weird, but it's like they read the room, and my mentor always kind of gave me a hard time about that because it's like the tide going out or the tide coming in. Like, you want to go with the flow, and I realized that I can trade in here, and it has nothing to do with the other stuff. But when I'm getting long in here, right? I'm kind of down in here right now. And I'm like, okay, I've mapped everything out. I've got a nice impulse down. I've got a really nice, um, God, I'm just mad at myself. I'm looking at this chart like, what the heck was I thinking, right? I've got a really nice, and, honestly, guys, I think I'm working through this as we go. But my thought process is that I'm literally right here. Um, I've got a bunch of data on the sheet. I don't want you guys. I don't. It's not for you guys to deal with. It's for me. But this is where you guys probably struggle with this too. I mean, I'm not. This is not something that I'm not alone in this, right? I just. Okay. So I got long. God, I feel like a dumbass, right? Got long right here on that bar. Now let's work through this so I can get myself squared away, get myself on the right side of business. And again, guys, get yourself a YouTube channel, record it, talk through it. We're on an island here, okay? We don't have networks and networking groups, and you can look at one trader and be like, oh wow, that's great. This is how I trade. There's no one system that's the best, and really, you know, it's all machines these days. So our only edge is our own ability to read a chart. Now, in my defense of this terrible idea, I'm not looking to get huge gains. I know price is going down, but, and I can read this, this is where I was at. I drew this up, boink, and then I've got this here, and I was trying to catch it down here, and so I said, let's do it again. I'm going to run this back here. And I saw this piece here, and I grabbed it. It worked, right? The whole thing is fine. I'm not worried about how I entered on this and got myself in this spot. But the problem that I have is that I'm completely reading this the wrong way, right? I'm trying to get this piece. I'm trying to just get a little chunk up here, and where do they end up? Yeah, I got it. My target was here, and again, I always do this, and it's such a bad habit to get into, but I do. I go 5 to 1, right? Because I know that price, once it takes out a low, it'll pull back into its swing, right? But I've got resistance right here, right? So I know that business is it's having a problem. guys, this is stuff that we don't talk about. It's like talking about the sausage being made. But I made money, and then I just moved to break even a little bit north of it, and I was like, okay, take me out, and it took me out, and that was it. I don't even know if did I have a 3-to-1 trade there. Yeah, I did. And it's like, just sometimes take your money. You're going the wrong way. You're not on the right side. I, I, I'm trying to get better at this in a way that I can really make a difference in my own life. So now I wasn't really frustrated, but I was just kind of like, ugh, you know, what the hell, right? So I'm over here again, and after that, I was like, okay, move on with my day. Um, Wait for the next setup. Let's see what happens. But I mean, in hindsight, you guys, I really just, you know, and I was trying to get a little peace, and it worked out. But there was bigger things going on, and you can see this thing here. It's not, the energy's not going the right way, right? So how do I turn this around, right? How do I make this so I am going the right way, right? How do I get it so I'm on the right side? And that's what all of us are after, right? Take any setup you want to have and you understand, and try and get it, going the wrong way. You're never going to make it happen. It's like building a house without a foundation. If you don't have a foundation, you're not going to get where you're after. So in this little space here, right? Kind of my sweet spot for trading. I like to trade between about, between 7 and 10. It seems like there's more money flowing in and out of the market, and I go from 7:30 to about 11. So I'm in that range because stuff happens, and I pay attention to some things. I put orders on at about 11:15 yesterday, but they didn't get hit, so I took them off. But like, let's look at this in a different way, because wasn't wrong about my analysis. All right, I wasn't wrong. My goal was to go and I had this here, right? So I was in here with a little stop here in a 5-to-1 trade. I just, barely made it. And then this thing happened, right? So these tiny little guys got busted out by this bigger guy. They pulled back and went up, and then it came down again, right? What's the big deal? What if we would have said, okay, well, let's draw up our impulse leg. It's coming down, right? And then we have this shelf here, right? That price, this thing comes back down. I don't know if I would have got hit on this, right? I'm at the base of this wash here. It's a sketchy trade. It's not a real, and that's where I get caught up in a couple things. One, my my bias, and then my ability to see. I had a little guy here, and not that I want to take every stupid little thing, but I could have got a 3-to-1 in there, right? That's 3-to-1. Barely. I would have got stopped out. And then if you're long here, you're like, well, geez, Mike, I want to, take it to the top, right? It doesn't come down here and meet this, I guess it washes out, hits it. Yeah, I mean, that's a setup. Doesn't work. You can manage that. Starts going up, you can be right there in a break even. Maybe, as it's pulling down, I don't know, maybe you just take a 1-to-1. But this doesn't work on the way down. Really, this trade right here is the trade, right? And to not have to, to live through this whole thing. You don't know if it's going to hit or not. And that's hard to deal with. You're going to deal with hard one way or the other. Which one do you want to do? Pick it, your choice. So then price keeps coming off. Throws us a little wash right there. Doesn't give us anything else. Impulse is down, right? I draw my impulse to the point it starts pulling back, and I start looking for a shelf, like, there's a shelf right there. And this works out too, right? There's not a stop, but I mean, it goes down. It's an ugly one. I don't like it. I don't like it because it doesn't give me a place to land to put a stop. There's no, and they come in all shapes and forms, but if you put your order here, where's your stop? You're just using a cash stop, and you're going with the flow. So you've got that on your side, but that doesn't always mean that you're. So then you got here. I see a shelf somewhere here, maybe. Something like that. It gives us a little bump here on the backside. That's cool. Does that give us 3-to-1 trade? Yeah, it does. And there's one right there. I wish I could trade in hindsight. Wouldn't that be easier for all of us? We just trade in hindsight. Nobody would lose. The market would just be one up and down bar, one big bar. But we can use this, right? We can. This is coming down. Another impulse down. Let me bring it across here. Again, no real stop in this whole thing. It's just kind of like it's just hitting the shelf, and the stop's over here, right in here somewhere. Maybe. And then I'm out. I'm not trading anymore. The one that I was thinking about trading, I think it was in here. And even then I was wrong. All my trades are long. That's another thing. It's just, my bias is the wrong direction. This came down, shoots up, doesn't take this guy out, right? Doesn't take out the low. So when this pops up, I missed this piece and I missed this piece, and I put it in here to try and get long into here. And then it just, see ya. So, am I a master? No. Am I headed that direction? Yeah. Never get there, right? I'm never going to be a master at this business. It's too much to master. You can get really good. You can make money. You can make a living at it. You can do fine, but you're never going to be just perfect. It's not the way it works in any business, which is fun because it gives us opportunity. So now we're down here. Oh, do we have any news going on? I didn't check that out. This is all the stuff we look at, guys. And look, I'm not saying that I'm the, whatever. I'm saying practice, right? Practice. 5:30, some stuff came out. Home sales are coming out at 7. So yeah, there's some stuff coming around 7. Just chill out around 7. Wait till like 7:15, 7:30. If you're gonna trade. Yeah, the trade of the day was right here, and you could have had a really nice afternoon if you just sat on it till about 10. There, you would have had a nice day. Can't predict this stuff. You don't know what's going to happen, especially in this market. So use a stop. Get your bias really tight so you know that you're not. Right now we're in the pressure cooker on another swing. It just makes me mad because it's like I worked really hard at this. I put this out here because I was watching it in here from this little chunk, and it washed them out, and it could take off and go up here, right? This is a nice looking wash. It took these guys out. Those stops got run. So we're gonna watch it. We're gonna trade it, and we'll be talking to you guys tomorrow. All right.